Hello everyone, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and here we are looking at the BlackBerry Z10. Doing a quick unboxing video for you and a tour around the device, and then we're going to go away and do our review. So immediately on top we have the handset, which we will of course come back to in a moment. Also in the box we have the getting started guide and what's that, the regulatory information. There's a wired headset which we'll just unpack. Look at it more closely. Looks like quite a good headset actually. So it's a flat cable one, 4-pole 3.5mm jack. There's a clip for clipping onto clothing and indeed for keeping the cable nice and tidy. That's quite a nice idea. There's an inline microphone with a push button. Push button is for answering and hanging up your calls. Then there are some in-ear style headphones or earphones with the little tabs on the side. They also help keep them in place in your ear. And we have some other earbuds with it as well for different sizes, so that's quite cool. Also in the box we have a charger, UK 3-pin. I'm going to unpack it because it's just a USB charger. It's got a USB socket on the top. And then finally we have a USB to micro USB sync and charge cable. So that's everything in a box. We'll now take a look at the phone itself. So firstly we have a 5-inch display. It is 720 by 1280 pixels. So it is a 720p display, so it's quite a reasonable size or generous size at 5-inch, and it is Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen. In terms of other stuff around the outside, on the left hand side we have a HDMI output, well, micro HDMI I believe that is, and then the USB sync charge connector. On the bottom really nothing to see. There's a looks like a bit of a loudspeaker area there, and we're looking at there's a hole there for the microphone. And up on the right hand side, another 2 microphone holes by the looks of it. Up and down volume control and a middle button there. It's like a menu kind of action button. Looking around to the top we have the power button and the headphone socket there. It's a 3.5mm headphone socket for using the headphones or headset that comes with it, or indeed the your own headphones. On the back we have an 8-megapixel autofocus camera with an LED flash. The secondary camera on the front is a 2-megapixel. Both are capable of HD video recording. Just try and remove the back, which is, there we go, it's quite secure, so therefore quite difficult to remove, but the back pops off, and as you can see it's this really nice carbon fibre back cover, and it looks quite smart. It's even sort of like carbon fibre on the inside. It's quite secure as well, it's quite rigid, and it's got some, the middle bit in the side. Inside there's no removable battery, but obviously the battery is inside, and it is a, there we go, 2880 milliamp hour battery. That's a really hefty battery capacity actually for a device like this. It's pretty impressive, and it's similar, it's on par with say the HTC One Max in terms of the battery capacity, with slightly smaller screen, and it's Super AMOLED as well, so battery life we would expect to be pretty impressive on here with the Super AMOLED screen. There's a slot here for the micro SD AC memory card, which will support up to 64 gig memory cards, and also the SIM card slot, which is obviously a micro SIM poking in the side there as well. So that's really all to see underneath. We'll pop the back cover back on, like so, and it all snaps into place all the way around, and once it's in place it is really sturdy. I'm just going to peel the back cover off. So it's worth mentioning that the back has got like almost like a rubberized texture to it, or like a coating I guess, so it's quite almost sticky. I mean, it's not sticky as in terms of like, a residue, but it means that it does sort of like sit in your hand quite well, and means that it doesn't sort of slide around so much. It easier to kind of keep hold of, which is quite a good idea really. Sitting it on a surface means that it just doesn't move around so much, so that's quite good in terms of the actual sort of finish. We'll just power up, and while I power up, let me run down the rest of the spec. We've got 141mm from top to bottom, 72mm wide, and 9.4 at thickest point. It's quite large, but it's the sort of design and the fact that it's got very nicely curved edges means it doesn't feel too chunky in your hand. And although it's 170 grams, it doesn't feel that heavy. Again, a lot can be done with sort of design and styling of a handset to make it feel and seem lighter and smaller in your hand than obviously the actual specs and physical dimensions would suggest. As we've already mentioned, the 720p display, 720 by 1280 pixels, is Super AMOLED, multi-touch capacitive touchscreen. And being Super AMOLED, it should, in theory, have a lower power consumption than, say, an LCD display, such as on the Z10. And with that larger battery, we'd expect to see a bit better battery life. Incidentally, this is a slightly lower resolution display than the BlackBerry Z10. The Z10 has a 768 by 1280, whereas this is 720 by 1280. And indeed the Z10 has a 4.2 versus this is the 5. Z10 has LCD and this is Super AMOLED, so it's just a few little bits of comparison there. In terms of internal memory, we've got 16 gig of onboard storage, coupled with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and processor wise we have a dual core 1.7 gigahertz processor, which is a great processor. We've mentioned the HDMI output. That's a quite nice feature to have. Not too many handsets actually have HDMI outputs, but it's pretty good that it's got that, particularly if you're doing sort of presentations and features, and obviously sharing video and that kind of stuff. So it's quite a cool idea. 8 megapixel autofocus camera on the back, we've already mentioned, but to say it does do full HD video recording at 30 frames a second, and it also supports geotagging with the internal GPS, which is GPS assisted GPS with GLONASS support. We've also got Bluetooth 4.0 with A2DP and LE support, and Wi-Fi supporting 802.11 A, B, G and N standards. No AC at the moment. Wi-Fi direct and Wi-Fi hotspot modes are also supported. I think that pretty much covers most of the sort of basic specification. So let's go and take a look at the operating system, which we are running 10.2. BlackBerry OS 10.2. So we will swipe left to continue, and we will skip without obviously using SIM card, which we haven't installed. And it's going to scan around for a Wi-Fi network, which hopefully it's going to find one in just a moment, because there's one about 2 feet away from me. And we'll go ahead and connect. So there we go, we're going to connect to this one. Incidentally, I do like the keyboard on BlackBerry on touchscreen, because it is 4 or 5 rows, but it does have the numeric keys on the line above the QWERTY, which means that you don't have to keep going on shift, you know, in and out of number modes to actually sort of get to the number keys, which obviously you do with say the iPhone. So let's wait for this to just connect. Okay, so we're connected. We're going to have to just select and can agree to this in just a moment. Well, we'll just agree. We're going to skip that for a moment and disable the diagnostic information. And I'm asking to customize for our region. Hopefully it's not going to take too long to get ourselves set up. So we are running an update. Obviously physically it's a little bit smaller than the BlackBerry Z10, which unfortunately I don't have one to hand for a size comparison, but we are a bit bigger than a BlackBerry Z10. And we'll continue. We've done all this before, so here we go. It's going to tell us about all the gestures, which obviously we've already done before. Okay, there we go. That's it. There we go, and we can get rid of that. And get rid of the tutorials. Okay, so we are finally into the OS, which obviously is almost exactly the same as the original BlackBerry 10 OS as on the Z10. There are a few feature differences, but we won't go into those just at the moment. But let's just take a look around. So we've got the BlackBerry Hub and Contacts, BlackBerry App World. Sliding across this side, we can set up the BlackBerry Hub, which obviously I haven't added any accounts to this just at the moment. But in terms of the accounts that we can add, obviously you can add email accounts, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Evernote, and calendars. But we will just skip out of that just for the moment. All of our accounts will be shown in here. Email with attachments, we could search, we can compose. We would also have our BBM messages displayed here, and so on. It basically consolidates all of your messages and accounts into one place. So going back, which I will do, there we go. So apps that are installed are here. It's obviously still going through this thing of telling us what to do. Okay, satisfy it. Okay, so we've got some installed applications. Evernote is part of the OS, which is, for those that use it, it's pretty cool. We've got smart tags, settings, there's weather, which we're going to take a quick look at. So turn on location surfaces. Yeah, no, don't those. Okay, so that's giving us our location and weather. There seems to be such a fascination with weather on mobiles, but there we go. It keeps telling us, there we go. So these are the running applications, and as I start more, which I'm going to do in a moment, so we're going to text messages, close that one, music, nothing installed, and let's go to YouTube. Let's wipe up from the bottom. As you can see here, these running applications are shown in the most recent window. So I can close the browser, close music, and I can close weather. Any of these I can close accounts. Now that tab has also disappeared rather than showing you a blank tab, so that's quite cool. So we're going to quickly pop into YouTube, and let's do a quick search for, incidentally, that's a slightly irritating, having just mentioned that the keyboard has the 4 rows, because now it's down to just the 3. But anyway, sure, that's something that we can configure. So let's take a quick look at a video. So we can see full screen if we switch around. Just turn the volume down a bit so that we're not talking over ourselves. So good little video. Look, almost like it's there. So if video works quite well. Obviously it didn't take too long to actually buffer and play that, but we are using Wi-Fi. There's a bit of a lag on the rotate, but nothing too terrible. We will go ahead and close that. So video playback is quite good. So you've got BBM Messenger there that requires configuration, so I'm not going to pop into there just at the moment. Take a look at the browser and see what that performs like. So we go to our site. Certainly it's offering us a suggestion. Cool. So there we go, it's loaded pretty quickly. Mobile version of the site, all laid out in column format, but loading pretty quickly. Quality wise, the text's quite easy to read. There is a certain degree of well, almost fuzziness to the anti-aliasing on there. I mean, it's fine, but it just makes it look a bit more grey than black on the text, but nevertheless it still is nice and clear and easy to read, so that works quite well. And obviously we can switch around to landscape mode, and we've got obviously everything laid out slightly different into 2 column when we go into landscape as well. And So there is a slight delay in the rotate, but nothing too bad at all. Back into here, obviously we can drop down the top, we can turn the rotation lock on, we can go into the settings, turn Bluetooth on and off, go into the Wi-Fi settings, alarm, and obviously notifications as well. Swapping that out of the way. Furthermore, we've got obviously the camera. So let's just take a quick look at the camera, and there we go. Pop something in the way just so that we can take a quick picture. Tapping on the screen allows us to take the picture. Not sure if the buttons also function as a... Okay, the volume up button does allow us to take a shot. And then we've got the different cameras, so we can switch the camera around to forward facing, and switch it back. There are different settings for normal shooting mode, scene selection, flash on and off, and all different aspect ratios as well. That's what out of the way. In terms of what we've captured, quality wise, not too bad. Again, as I've mentioned several times before, and obviously it's not going to convey quite so well on the video, but it will do when we come to the review. Well, that one's a bit blurred. I think that's because we've moved slightly. But one kind of complaint I have of, well, frankly, almost every manufacturer, handset manufacturer and phone camera, is the amount of compression, JPEG compression, that is placed upon the cameras. The amount of noise in these images because of JPEG compression is quite surprising. I wish there was a setting to actually change that. You could say how much compression you are happy to accept, both the trade-off in terms of file size and obviously the amount of compression noise. Sadly, that's not there, and that's not just a criticism of BlackBerry. That's pretty much universal, and I know some handset manufacturers are much more aggressive when it comes to compression of images than others. And as I say, I wish there was a setting that we could actually alter that to say I want to minimise my compression. I'm happy to accept much larger file sizes in the trade-off, but anyway, I digress. So in terms of other stuff installed, obviously got the BlackBerry App World, Twitter and Facebook clients are there, connect to Dropbox, which we can obviously do, settings menu, as you can see there, everything's in black. Realistically, if all of these menus and the actual backdrop and screen were dark or even black, then certainly with an AMOLED display or Super AMOLED display, we could expect to see a bit of a longer battery life, certainly when it comes to doing things like mail and in the hub. If that was black background with white text, certainly the expectation would be that there would be better battery performance because of the way Super AMOLED or AMOLED displays do indeed work. But I think that pretty much covers most of the sort of basic bits and pieces on the BlackBerry Z30. We will have a full review for you over the next few weeks. I must say a special thanks to our friends over at unlockedmobiles.com. The URL will be alongside the video and indeed in the title of the video. But thanks to unlockedmobiles.com for actually sending over our review BlackBerry. We'll have some more reviews for the guys over at unlockedmobiles.com over the coming weeks, as well as hopefully we will be working with them a little bit more closely. But they do indeed have the Z30 on their site, available to buy just at the moment, and obviously it is indeed unlocked version. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's twitter.com/TracyandMatt or facebook.com/tracyandmatt.co.uk. I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk. But for now, thanks for watching.